Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Martyr, and we are going to check out the revamped version of the beginner intro episode to the last Caretaker. So we're going to go ahead and create a new backup slot. We'll see as we come online. We've got the diagnostic screen. And here you'll notice you are in an empty room. No lights except for the backup generator power, and no directives, no instructions. In the upper right corner of the screen, you will see what it says new tool. You have unlocked a new tool and it's ready to be equipped. You can press T and that will open up your tool belt, and you'll see we have a repair tool as well as a torch, which will be a flashlight. Both of these items are already equipped to your hotbar, but if you were to select the repair tool, that's what it will look like. You can turn on your headlight by pressing hotbar 6, and now we're able to take a look around and see what we've got to work with. We see that there's a few items on the ground, a dead computer, a bed that we assume is ours, and a locker with nothing in it. You walk up to the items on the floor and you see that you can loot these items. Looks like plastic scraps. And you'll notice that all of these items have been added to our inventory. So we'll press tab to open inventory, and here you'll see what these scraps that we just picked up, we looted, consist of. These are plastic scraps. These can be recycled down into usable materials. We'll go ahead and take a look outside. It looks like there's another room we need to go into, and you'll click on the mouse to grab and hold. So you'll click and hold and open the door and walk out into the space to begin the directives.
It's dark and quiet now, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Reconnect the power. Bring this place back to life.
So our first instructions are to reconnect the power. You'll come over here and see that there's an electrical switch and an outlet. You'll see on the symbol that is a blue triangle. That's for electricity with a little electric looking arrow pointing up. And then behind us we see a medium-sized battery. So obviously we want to be able to connect this source of power to this outlet so we can power up a facility. But how do we do that? You're going to need cables, electrical cables. So if you'll go to this back room that has the manual door on it, open it up. We'll go in here and we'll see an offline Caretaker. Looks like an older version, some consumable batteries, and some electrical cables. That's what we need right there. We'll just take another look around and see a light switch here that doesn't work. We've got a duffel bag up here. That's about it. Here we'll notice that the door does not have a handle. You'll see this little symbol on the wall, which means that it's electrically operated, so we cannot open it until we restore power to this area. And then on this shelf you'll see a few boxes. If you'll walk up and press and hold E, it will break down these shipping boxes and you will loot the materials that are inside. Press tab and open our inventory, and now you can see some of the items that we've picked up. These are usable materials that we will use to craft other items as we go. There's our electrical cables, and here are some plastic scraps that when recycled will turn into actual plastic. We're going to go ahead and connect this power supply to the outlet.
Good work, Caretaker. Every restored connection brings us closer to reclaiming our home. We've lingered here long enough, Caretaker. Head to the docking hangar. There's something important there waiting to show us our path.
So there we have advanced the quest line, and it says, where waters wait, make your way to the docking hangar to uncover your purpose. We will revisit this electrical door before we leave, just to see what's behind it. And now that we have some light, we'll cut on the light switch, and we notice a few other items that can be looted. This is a Tommy doll. It's what's called a human memory, and come in handy pretty later on in the game. Another decommissioned Caretaker, but that's pretty much the gist of what's in here. You'll also notice that there's a consumable battery up there, but how do you get to it? This game is a jumping puzzle, a gigantic jumping puzzle, so keep your eyes up and be looking around for false doors, weak areas that you can exploit or get to. So we're just going to jump across, we'll pick up these batteries, and we're good to go. So with these consumable batteries, you can equip them to your tool belt and consume them when you're getting low on power. You'll see in the bottom center of your screen 2 bars. The blue bar is your electricity or the power left on your battery. The green bar is your actual life or vitality. So those are two important items of information to pay close attention to as you play. We also see a few other loose items of scrap laying around. We won't worry about that for now. We'll just continue advancing the quest line. So we'll go through this door and cut on the light. We see another decommissioned caretaker. And it's starting to piece together a pretty graphic picture that this was once a pretty happening place. And when the lights went out, so did the life of the party. Here's another area. We've got some electrical cables that we can pick up and loot. Over here we have another toy, a memory item. We have a barricaded door that we'll need to access. But before we go through there, we want to make sure to pick up all of the items that we have at our disposal. And what's pretty nifty about this game and the developers at Channel 37 is that they're crafty and that they give you hints and little tips and helpful guides along the way that kind of explain things, or at least point in a direction for where you need to go. Here we see a little poster on the wall. Evacuation can be scary. Have you met your new best friend? Do not worry, trust your caretaker. You see all of this propaganda around here, and it's pretty much directed towards children. So that'll be important as well for later on, so keep that in mind. And one of the other items that I was mentioning earlier about Channel 37's helpfulness, we have a caretaker that is sprawled out in the floor facing in the direction of this room. So that's a good indicator that we probably need to go in there and see what's going on. You can go ahead and cut on the power here if you want. And we will open this door. We'll pick up the few consumable batteries on the floor, turn on the light. And this is a very important area. So as you progress through the game, it's important to keep saving and backing up your progression. Otherwise, you will die or lose power at the house and your computer will shut down and you will have to start all the way back at the beginning. So this is what is called a save station. You can use this to back up your game save file. And this is a health or a vitality station. So we'll go ahead and hook ourselves up to the healing station, and you can see our green health bar at the bottom is going up to full. To pick up and drop cables, you'll just press E, which is your main interact button. You press and hold E to connect or disconnect, and then you can press Q to drop the cable. For example, we'll drop the cables that we have on hand. So if you just left click the mouse, it physically picks up the item and moves it to wherever you want to set it down, but it does not add it to your inventory. If you hover over the item, you see that it says E for loot. And if there's multiple items on the ground, you can hold E and it will loot everything that is currently within reach. Okay? When you go up to a socket to connect it, you press E to pull it out, and then you'll press and hold E to connect it to yourself. And this is where we'll back up. So just keep that in mind. That's a very important routine to incorporate early on. I cannot tell you how many times the frustration almost made me quit playing this game, and I'm so glad I didn't, because this has been one of the most fun games I have played in recent times. Before we progress, we will go into our menu, select options, and then in the game tab, you'll go all the way down to autosave. Here, I believe it defaults to off, but you can allocate how often the game automatically saves your progress. So just in case you don't make it to a save station in time, you can adjust it here, hit apply, and now your game save file will back up every 5 minutes automatically. It's still important to remember to manually save your progress, so you'll pick up right where you left off. But just as well, that's a good fail-safe measure to incorporate early on. Again, when I first started playing, it almost cost me to quit playing because I did not realize that feature existed. Another thing about this game, they don't outright tell you how to progress. There's a lot of cryptic clues, hints, and tips that they'll provide you along the way. Your main form of direction is the narrator voice, the lady's voice you hear speaking to you. For now, we're just moving the items out in front of the door so we can continue our progression. We'll move through the double doors and hit the light button, and now we see our lift or elevator. Before we jump on that, we'll go ahead and loot everything in here that we can. And pay attention to all of the items that we still have down here, because before we leave the Sanctuary Dock 12, we're going to come back and scrap down as much of these items as we possibly can. So if you haven't figured out, there's another clue. A caretaker pointing up the ladder, so that's a good indication of where we need to go. But we'll go ahead and hit the lift just to see how far we can make it. Now, as we're going up, we'll pay close attention to the area where the ladder is. You can see the further you go up, there are landings that also have loot on them. We'll go ahead and grab these. So as you're manually holding items, you can press F to rotate the item to wherever you need it to go, or you can press Q to drop it. And we have multiple items on the ground, so we're going to press and hold E, and it'll pick them all up at once. So we've made it to the top of the lift, and now we come across our very first enemy encounter of the game. Before we engage, we'll get our loot, we'll cut the light on so we can see, and we will engage with this enemy with our melee skill. So here we've been directed to press C for melee, and it pulls out a crowbar. Something that's pretty cool to note, if you have your repair tool equipped, you can melee with that as well. But I honestly like the crowbar, so we'll stick with that. Now here are our sweethearts. This was the decommissioned item that we looted at the beginning of the game. Those are little products that come out of these nest things here. You see, if you don't kill it quick enough, it will regenerate and you'll have more of those little boogers to kill. So kill it pretty quick. Make sure you kill all of it so it doesn't come back. And now we've got some more scrap that we've picked up. Here, these broken sweethearts are actually part of a quest line that's included with one of the newer updates. We won't get into that just yet, but it's important to know we're not going to scrap those. We're going to hang on to them. We'll go through this door, and before we do, we'll pay close attention to the propaganda on the wall. Be brave. Your future begins now. The Moses Project welcomes you to the adventure of a lifetime. Moses is a pretty important name to remember. We will revisit that as well. A computer, another dead caretaker, and I believe we are about to enter the dock. So we should receive another directive from the narrator as soon as we open the door.
There she is, your vessel. More than just metal and serpents. It's your freedom. This boat is how you'll reclaim the seas, and perhaps even your identity. The dock systems are offline. Without them, we're trapped here. Restore the power, Caretaker, so we can sail again.
And there, the quest line continues to progress. This is Light the Way, restore power to the upper deck. And here, we see a few more items on the ground. We've got another electrical cable, some scrap, but we also have a small battery canister. So this is a portable means of electricity. For the time being, we'll go ahead and loot that. And something that I forgot to mention, at the beginning with the medium-sized battery, you can charge up your battery using one of the cables. So you'll notice that the medium battery has 3 outlet slots, so we'll go ahead and plug into one of them. And then we'll press and hold E to connect the power. And then we can press F while we're connected to a cable to change the directional flow of whatever resource it is that we're running through the line. So you can change it to input to more quickly charge yourself up. We will continue. Another important key feature that they don't outright direct you on, this bar down here is part of it's orange, the rest of it's black. This is your weight limit bar. So our current carrying capacity is 100 kilograms, and we are 27.5% of the way there, or currently carrying 27.5 kilograms. Be mindful you don't want to overload and encumber yourself. We'll make our way through the dock. You see our beautiful boat sitting there. Turn on some light just to make sure we're not missing anything. Looks like another electrical cable up here, and some more loot. Got to jump here, so be careful. And you jump by pressing the space bar. We'll pick up these other items. And we've reached level 2. So before we continue any further, we're going to check out the menu screen. So go ahead and press tab. Again, we're in our inventory. We'll select the tab, the first tab to the right, in skills, and we have 3 skill points to use. We already have the first 2 items unlocked, and we see we have an assortment of items to unlock at level 2. You'll notice that 2 of these items have 0 cost points, so we'll go ahead and unlock those. And this, the dismantle tool, is probably one of the most important items that you'll use throughout this game. The blue block we just unlocked is the basic electric engine cylinder. We'll craft one of these to power up our boat. And now we've got a few other items that we can unlock. So from here, there are several different paths that one can take while leveling up your caretaker. Max level currently is 35. I don't know if the devs have any plans to go any higher than that, but just know to budget out and spend your skill points wisely. You see, we've got a lot of items here that we will unlock. Moving up to level 25 is where the last item that we can unlock in our skill tree. At level 2, we have electric cables. We also have fuel cables. We're going to need both. We also have electric cable extenders, or basically connectors, which will connect 2 cables together. We also have a fuel cable extender, or connector. The last item is a Lumilight, which is a small solar panel. You use this to generate electricity from the sun, and we'll get into all of that in just a few minutes. What we want to pay attention to and unlock first is our electrical cable and our electric cable extender. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and unlock the fuel cable just in case. Staying in our inventory menu tab, we will select over to enhancers, and these enhance the attributes of your caretaker. So each one of these will modify your caretaker in some degree, starting with equipment handling. Obviously, that's how easy your ability to pick up and carry items would be. Vitality is your overall health. Haul mastery increases your max carrying capacity each time you add a skill point, or each time you add an enhancement point. The next item is improved hydraulics. This increases your lifting capacity and the efficiency, so you don't use as much power while hauling items around or carrying heavy weight. Your battery, so this increases your battery's capacity. Pressure increases your caretaker's ability to go further below the depths of the sea. So at sea level, it is 0 meters, and the further down you go, the more damage the pressure will cause. So this will allow you to endure more pressure and dive deeper. Your scrapper just allows you to more quickly and efficiently repair and dismantle items. The engineering reduces the build time of items that you're crafting. It also engineering reduces the amount of time it takes to craft and build items, as well as reduces the amount of resources that it consumes to make the said items. Your power management just increases the optimization of your battery and electrical use. Field Medic is pretty cool. This is a new one that's been added. It boosts the transfer speed of electricity and health, so when you're charging or when you're healing, this increases how quickly that happens. And finally, we have Shock Absorber. This improves the caretaker's ability to land from greater heights So it decreases your fall damage by 0.5% with each point added. There's 100,000 different combinations and builds that you can employ. I would strongly recommend starting out focusing solely on your battery, your power management, a little in vitality, and a little in hull mastery. You can spread those out however you want, but these are the 3 main that you want to focus on. And as soon as you get to about level 5 with any one of these attributes, you want to start working on Scrapper. So Scrapper will reduce the amount of energy that's consumed each time you break down an item or for materials. And there are a lot of items that need to be broken down, especially early on. Also, dismantling items with your dismantle tool nearly doubles the EXP gained. So again, starting out early on, it's very important that you maximize and become very efficient at dismantling materials. Okay, we'll go ahead and add a few more points in vitality, a little more to hull mastery, and then put the rest in our battery and power management. So this should make things a little more easy on us as we go, and we will carry on. So again, we've come to a manual door. Don't let these little electric symbols scare you. Not every door is an electric door. Some of them are manually operated and can still be opened. You notice that there's a little grate here with a consumable battery back there. How do you get there? Great question. There are so many hidden passages into this game. You really want to take your time and explore every point of interest that you come to, because I promise you, even after hundreds of hours of playing, there's still going to be something new that you find just about every single time you come. One of the cool aspects of this game are the hidden passages and hidden areas. So here is a vent that we could access if we could get up there. So this looks more of like an exit than it is an entrance. But there are lots of places all throughout this game that hold and harbor hidden treasures and little nuggets that you do not want to pass up. More loot and more loot. You see these little spaces, these little hidden away areas where somebody or something was seeking refuge. So we'll carry on with our mission. And before we continue, we're going to go ahead and select our toolbar by pressing T, and this will bring up the new dismantle tool that we've unlocked. We're going to right click on this and add it to our action bar number 2. So that will actually replace where my torch is. I like my headlamp at action bar 4. And there you go. You'll also notice down in the bottom left corner the items that you are currently carrying on your Caretaker. Starting from the bottom left, that would be your primary weapon, which would be like a rifle. Moving to the right at slot 2 is your secondary weapon or your sidearm, firearm. Hot slot 3 is for grenades. 4 is where we keep our consumable batteries. So we'll press 4. And you see we've got a little battery in our hand and we will consume it. And it increases the power of our Caretaker. So if you find yourself in a pinch and nowhere close to a source of power, you can consume those and keep on keeping on. We'll work our way up the stairs here. And we've come to another area that looks like we are stuck without power. Okay, so nothing's coming on. This is where we need to be. That little box is a good indicator. And a good rule of thumb, all of your areas, all of your points of interest are going to include this symbol, which is similar to the symbol that we saw on the battery, except it's yellow. So it's a triangle with a downward facing arrow bolt. And that means that there is a source of power somewhere close by, usually within the room that this is adjacent to. So we can't get in there because it's locked, but here's another little hint. A glow stick on top of the box indicating this loose grate can come off. We will remove that, and here we go into another hidden area. So we will turn on our headlamp and crawl through this air duct, and we're going to go ahead and break out our dismantle tool. We'll pick up that battery. Thank you, fellow Caretaker. Your service and parts are greatly appreciated. Just knock that out. And this is the area we need to be to get power restored. So you'll notice here at the electrical outlet, we've got a little bit of damage going on, so it needs to be repaired. We're going to go ahead and grab all of the loot that we can get. There's a few items laying around back here behind the computer as well. So make sure you get all of these items, especially if you're short on the materials that are going to be needed to repair that battery. Looks like we have plenty of cable. So what we're going to need to do, this battery has power, so we're going to connect a cable to it. and it's running to this extender or this connector, and it needs to go from here to this outlet. But before we can run the cable to it, we need to repair it. So we'll equip our repair tool, and you will see the cost to repair this mainframe is 4 iron. Down at the bottom in green it says iron, and then bracket 8/4. It means that I have 8 iron items on me, and it only requires 4 to repair, so we're in luck. We'll take a look at our inventory real quick to show what I'm talking about. There's our iron, and we have a stack of 8. So again, it only requires 4. We'll repair this really quick. And now that it's repaired, we will connect a cable to it and bring some life back into this place.
Doc is alive again, thanks to you. Each step forward reconnects us to a brighter future. Caretaker, you were never meant to remain bound. These waters were once pathways, carrying life, purpose, and discovery. Something awaits you out there, ready to be reclaimed.
And there we see we've advanced our quest line even further. Vessels of Tomorrow and Rags to Riches. Now we can look in our upper left corner to see what our quest log currently has active. And you'll see that Vessel of Tomorrow is going to require a few items to accomplish. What they want us to do is repair, refuel, and ready our boat or vessel for journey. And in order for us to do that, we need to power the boat up. We need to refuel the boat with diesel. We need to repair the boat's diesel engine as well as its electrical engine. We need to reconnect engine cylinders to both engines. And then once we're ready, we can open the dock doors and sail out. We've got quite a bit to do before we get to that point. The next quest line that we have active, Rags to Riches. And this instructs us to use the recycler to extract materials from trash items. So we'll go check out that here in just a second, but we'll notice this electrical door here we could not access before. We'll go ahead and open it, pick up our sweet loot, turn on the lights, and if you need to heal, go ahead and use the heal station. Otherwise, remember what I said, go ahead and back it up. Back it up. Back it on up like you in the club. So once we come out from... So now that we have power restored to the dock, we're going to go back downstairs the way we came, turning the lights on as we go. And now we're going to open the door that we could not access earlier. And in here is where you will find the recycler. We also see a few other odds and ends in the room, but essentially the recycler is your best friend. This bad boy does what this thing started. So we'll go ahead and dismantle this metal plate. We'll get 1 metal scrap from that. And in order for us to use the recycler, we need to connect it to power. Thankfully, they supplied us with a nice medium battery. Now you can physically pick up items and throw them in, and it will scrap it down into its usable resource materials. We picked up some copper and some iron. As far as the other items, you can press E and interact with the recycler, and then you can press F and it will deposit all of the trash that you currently possess on your caretaker. I don't want to do that just because I do have the survival cache that I'm going to need for much later in the game, but these are the only items that I don't want scrapped. So we'll just set this off over here. There we go. And with that said, we'll revisit the recycler. We'll press F to deposit all. And like I said, it only deposits the trash. We just about lost our little broken sweethearts too. We won't hang on to those. So this breaks down all of the trash into usable material resources. So while that's scrapping items down, we'll want to be mindful of what we're scrapping. So far, we've extracted enough iron and plastic. We just need to scrap more rubber. Oh, looky here, there's rubber. Again, I would recommend that you dismantle the tires before you throw them in the recycler, because watch, down in the bottom center next to our health bar, boom, EXP plus 1. Some more EXP, and some more EXP. Now, and we pick up these items, boom, more EXP, a lot more EXP. So again, it would behoove you greatly to dismantle everything before throwing it into the recycler. Particularly plastic is going to be your most consumed resource early on, plastic and iron. So you'll want to try to grab up as much of that as you can. We'll loot the bear, and this is a cartridge. So you use these in the Pico terminals, the computer terminal we saw earlier. You can actually play a game within a game. It's really cool. And early on as well, you'll want to pay attention to these computer monitors. Anything with tech gives you tech scraps. And tech scraps are more on the rarer side of the materials that you get from scrapping down. But it's certainly not the rarest. Okay, so we've consumed all of our energy. Go ahead and connect to this battery. And you see that it is consuming juice out of the main battery cell while we heal. You'll notice my health bar is low. That's what happens when you continue using power when you have no power left to give. There are our tech scraps. We've got silicon, gold, titanium, and now we've hit level 3. Before we continue upward, we're going to come down here and visit our boat. Over here is our diesel tank that holds our diesel reserves. We'll need to hook the cable up to our boat. And you'll notice on the sides of your boat, you have these input valves. You've got your diesel and your electrical. So we'll want to change the flow rate of our diesel to pull all of it out of the tank and put it into my boat. Otherwise, it'll equalize the pressure. So it'll only fill up halfway to my boat's tank and halfway to the reserve tank. We want it all going in the boat. So while that's pumping, we'll continue to loot these items. And here is where we will connect our electricity to our boat. Same thing, we'll hook it up to the port on the side, direct the power input to go into the boat, and let it do its thing. So while that's charging, we'll come down here, and this is the underbelly of your boat. We also have a recycler down here. So this is what I wanted to show you before we progress too far. Most continue upstairs, but if you're having a hard time getting what you need to power up the dock, you can always come down here and hook up a small battery to the recycler and still be able to do what you need to do. Just be advised, this thing uses a tremendous amount of electricity, so it will go through a small battery very quickly. Oh, we got lucky. Barely got through it. But now we should have all of the materials that we need to repair our diesel engine, which requires 6 iron and 3 plastic. Now that our boat is repaired, we will pick up this diesel engine cylinder and connect it to its socket. And now we have completed all of our objectives. But again, we have a lot more to do before we leave the dock. In the back portion of the belly of the boat, I typically use this area for storage. As you level up, your real estate comes at a premium. So you'll most likely have this entire room wall to wall with storage containers. Before we do that, we will continue on and we will come back and revisit the features of the boat shortly. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and heal and then save. Okay, before we continue on with our quest, we found the second engine cylinder. It was on the deck of our boat. We'll attach that. And here is the other electric engine cylinder. So we've completed those. And another nifty trick is, before you unlock the ability to make storage boxes, something that's really cool that most new players don't know starting out, back here on the back side of your boat, you have your salt water pump that brings in salt water from the ocean. You have your anchors, and then you have this really cool fishing net. So it's currently raised, but if you drop it, your cargo box gets pulled under and your net drops below the boat. We'll pull it back in. And what you can use this for, until you get your boat out of the dock, and until you're to the point where you can create storage boxes, we will use this area as storage itself. This just kind of frees up space, keeps us from scrapping items we don't want to scrap just yet. And we're also going to need all of these materials here to kind of repair everything that we have on the roof. So we'll continue on with this quest. Okay, now that we're back up here with the power supply, you'll notice that there's a cable that is running down from the stairs. Well, we're going to go ahead and connect that, because if you'll notice, when you get up here to the top of the stairs, this cable is already connected to a socket. Cut the light on, and we'll notice that that socket is connecting the outside. We'll collect our loot and our paint. We'll open the door, and now we are on the rooftop. Grab our bear. We are on the rooftop of Sanctuary, so be careful. You have these little leeches that come out at night. They are light sensitive, so they burn up during the daytime, but just be careful because they will attack you at night. So you can see our electrical cable is coming through the wall, through the connector, and following the line here. And we look on the back wall and see a few sources of power. We have our turbines as well as our solar panels. So we'll go ahead and dispatch the little sweethearts. Now that we've disposed of those, we'll connect our power supplies here. So 20 feet is about the max that you can take your cables. So we'll go ahead and craft one of the connector boxes that we've unlocked earlier, and we'll go ahead and connect our power. There we go. And one thing to pay attention to is you'll notice the solar panels are facing in the same direction, but they're not facing any sunlight, so they're not generating power right now. Your turbines will generate power, so just be mindful. Some of your power supplies can only produce power during daytime hours, and others produce them around the clock. We'll also go ahead and just get rid of these. Connect you. Now we've got a little bit of power, a little bit of juice coming through. Be mindful also, the more damage that these turbines and solar panels have, the less power they're going to produce. And there we go. Now we have a permanent power supply going into our boat and the dock. And if you have enough supplies on hand, go ahead and repair all of these as you can. Make life a little easier on you. Okay, you'll see that we are out of juice, so we'll need to go ahead and supply ourselves best we can. We'll repair, and there we have it. So we should be good on getting power downstairs to the main dock now. And before we go back downstairs, we want to check out two areas. The first being behind this door. You notice the black moldy stuff on the doors and the walls? You can't access them until you've killed that nest. Sometimes they may be on the other side of the door, so you'll have to get creative. This ladder will take you back down to the boat dock. You'll want to take a cable and connect it to this source on the wall. Come in here, cut on the lights, and you'll find another recycler and fabricator. So instead of running all the way back downstairs to our boat, you can connect that to the recycler and break items down from the roof instead of having to go all the way back downstairs. We'll go ahead and drop down here because we need to juice up anyway. And we'll hit this flat to drop this ladder as well. Now we have power going to the boat. So as you use the recycler on your boat, it'll draw power off of your boat's battery, the large capacity battery. So to prevent that from draining all of your battery, because you'll end up scrapping a lot of items, you want to go ahead and make a permanent connection from your permanent power supply to your boat. It'll just make life easier on you as you go. So we're back into the room here, we're connecting our cables, and now we have a working recycler on the roof. Okay, I know starting out as a new player, you'll be eager to start exploring the world as soon as possible, but I strongly recommend making it to a minimum of level 5 before you leave the dock. Preferably level 6, 7, or 8, but 5 needs to be your minimum, just for a few reasons, mainly so your survivability can be enhanced a little bit, and you'll have a few more tools at your disposal. Also, there are a lot of hidden areas at the starting point, so don't sleep on being able to check those out. You'll want to crawl into these vents because there's a lot of valuable loot in here. And before we continue, we'll open up our skills and check out skill tree level 3. And you'll notice on this column there are a few very important items that you will want to unlock first. The first one being your Durapack, so we can have storage. The second being your replicated scanner.
Caretaker, the replica scanner can preserve more than materials. It can preserve shapes. Scan what you find. If it's recorded, we can build it again.
And what you'll do is you'll open your toolbar and you can select that for an action bar. We'll put that at 3 or 7 rather. And what it does is that it replicates any item for you to build in the fabricator. There is a quest with the new updates that involve these sweethearts, and you'll need to scan 10 of them to complete that.
Caretaker, these sweethearts might possess a charming shape, but their internals have been corrupted. Scanning enough of them will allow me to reverse engineer their design and turn them into a tool you can use.
And a neat little hack trick, if you keep scanning them over and over again, it won't give you credit. So go ahead and pick them up. However, if you pick them up and then drop them again from your inventory, it continues counting towards the quest.
Reverse engineering successful. Schematics confirmed. Reconfiguring for controlled operation. You can fabricate sweethearts now, Caretaker. They're now a tool we can control.
And that has brought us to level 4. So it's not hard to get to level 5. So we'll go ahead and open up our skills and check out the level 4 row. And you can see there are a few cool items there. You're going to eventually need the Lumilight for the first mission as soon as you leave the dock, so keep that in mind. You'll also need to unlock a few whispers. A lot of people like the electrical pistol. I like to wait until I'm level 5 to unlock the bolt pistol, to each their own. The diesel refinery is pretty important. We'll go ahead and unlock that. This is just a fabricator. The photo drone is pretty cool, and we'll go ahead and unlock the diesel engine cylinder. With our enhancers, we will go back and increase our vitality to 10, our hull mastery to 5, our battery to 10, scrapper to 5, power management to 10, and shock absorber. I would go ahead and throw 5 into that. So now we can survive a little easier. You'll want to explore around on the rooftop. There's usually loot everywhere that you go through this game. And we will juice ourselves back up again. We'll drain that one, and we'll continue on down to our boat. Now, using our fabricator, it does the exact same thing that you can do on your person. This just does not consume your batteries if you make it here. We'll want to make a few Durapacks, so if you'll select that, you'll see the materials that we'll need to craft it. 1 display screen and 2 alloy frames. You can right-click on the item you need and either add all of the parts to the queue or just the missing parts. I like to do all parts so I don't run short on any other items any other materials that I might need for other items. But we will craft those and open our build screen, and we'll go ahead and build us a Durapack. We're going to need a few of these, so just go ahead and place 2 or 3 if you want. Go back to your fabricator, right click, add all parts to queue, add all parts to queue. And that way it will fabricate the Durapacks as the materials become available, because it uses proximity on materials to pull what's needed. See? It's pretty cool. And there we have it. Now you can go ahead and start putting your material, your raw resource materials in these boxes as needed. I like to go ahead and separate them out by elements, and you're going to need quite a few boxes, so we'll be back in a few once we're done. Now that we are at level 5, we've been able to customize and create a bunch of storage boxes. You'll want to go ahead and, like I said, make as many as you can, because separating all of your materials and keeping them organized is going to make this a much more enjoyable experience for everyone. And to make this a little easier, you can customize each one of these little Durapacks and all of your storage containers just like this. So you'll want to open up your storage bin and press page down to bring up the customization. You can change the label, the color. Make sure to hit select once you've selected your color, even the symbol. And that will make it a lot easier to distinguish what's in what. We have iron in this one. And there you go. We'll do this for all of them, just to make things a little easier to keep up with. So on and so forth. Also, while we're on the customization topic, the paint that you pick up can be either applied to your Caretaker or your boat. To apply it to your Caretaker, you'll go down here to the bottom right of your inventory, and you can see which part of the body you can select the paint to apply to. We'll do torso and head. And you can see what it does to your Caretaker there. Also, you can customize your boat. So you'll come up here to the cabin, and over here on this desk will be blueprints. So you can change the color of your ship. It's important to know, once you get 4 of the same colors, you will be able to unlock that in your fabricator, and you'll know you've unlocked it because it'll make a little beeping sound, a little horn sound. We're not going to go into all of the hidden areas in this game. We visited one up there earlier, but I'll point them out if you guys wanted to go check them out. I just don't want to spoil it for you. You want to pull off this grate, and there's a few down that vent. Also, like I said, there's some in there. If you'll look over here, behind this grate is a few human loot items. You get into that from outside of the facility. Also, from this ladder, jump down, put on your light, and this small hole you can go into, surface up, and down at the bottom of this shaft is a little bit more human loot. Also, fun fact, if you didn't know, you can pick up these little glow sticks and drop them down into dark areas of water, and it will illuminate the way. Back there, behind that grate, are some more lootable items. You get to that from also outside the facility. Up on the roof, there are lots of secrets in both of these vents. Make sure to check both of those out. Now, before you leave, I recommend scrapping down as much as you can, like I said, but you can grab these Lumimid solar panels, save yourself some construction on an alloy frame and a solar cell when you need it. We'll just leave everything else running for now. Same with this diesel tank. we went ahead and removed all of our items from the net cargo area and stashed them in the storage bins we've made. Also, make sure to clear off your entire deck. Having a clean deck is going to be imperative later on. And before we open the dock door, we're going to make a couple of turbines to put on our boat. And while those are making, we'll check out the level 5 skills. And like I said, you definitely want to unlock the bolt pistol as soon as you can. This wall step allows you to parkour and climb in areas where you don't normally have access. Now, I'll let you guys pick which one of these you want to unlock from here, but just be mindful and choose sparingly on your skills, using your skill points early on, because you're going to need items more as you progress. In the enhancements, always want to add a little bit to vitality. Now, I like to put my turbines just kind of out of the way. Again, I like a clean whole deck. Another good thing to have, if you have the materials to build it, is this diesel refinery, which we unlocked a couple of levels ago. And what the refinery does is it breaks down organic material into diesel. So we definitely want to utilize that. Notice it has 2 spouts on it. This will be your electrical, this will be your diesel. Just makes sense to put it here. Short connections. And while that's fabricating, we'll go grab our organic material. You can press G to pull everything out of the storage. Same with your cargo net. And when you're stashing items in your storage boxes, press J and it will only deposit the materials that are already there. So that's pretty useful. Comes in handy, saves you a lot of time. And that will break down the biomatter into diesel. And the last thing we want to fabricate, if you have the materials, are a couple of engine boosters. What these boosters will do is it'll increase your speed across the ocean once we're able to pull out and navigate where we need to go. And there you have it. This will just make your life slightly easier as a caretaker once we leave the safety of the dock. The next objective, once we leave the starting point, would be to go to Navigation Beacon 49, which is just a hop and a skip once we're in the open ocean. But there are a few obstacles we'll need to navigate and be mindful of. Again, I think you should go through and scrap down as much materials, usable materials as you can before you leave, just to make your life a little easier. And you'll definitely want to craft your bolt pistol and some ammo. Don't forget the ammo. And there is our pistol. You can also customize it with the paints that you have. While you have it equipped, press G, and on the handle specifically is where you'll want to select. And if you had any paint, you would just load it up there. You can also add attachments to your firearms. Some will allow modifications of the barrel, of the sights that you're using. So be sure to check those out, play around with those customization options as well. They all do their own thing and they're pretty cool. I did want to show you guys one last thing before we continue. You will face another enemy. These little pink blobs at the starting area. So that's why I suggest patrolling these areas when you have a bolt pistol. They're relatively easy to take out though, once you do have the pistol.
Good. Now the world doesn't have to stay broken the way we found it. Keep scanning. Every pattern we save becomes something we can place back into life.
Before you leave, you want to make sure that you disconnect all of your cables and that you have at least a few resources to get you from point A to point B. Also, we'll hit the Pico terminal, and from here it'll let you access certain aspects of the game. Your data logs, and congratulations, we have completed the first portion of The Last Caretaker. For my friends playing the demo, this is where your game ends, but if you like it, check out the link below. There should be a discount for the Steam store. Also, you can access it on the Steam store right now, and let me know if you guys have played any of The Last Caretaker, what your thoughts are, what your favorite parts of the game are, and I appreciate you checking it out. We will do one last quest for the Lumi light, the solar panel, which is the first one that pops up as soon as you leave Sanctuary, and I will also show you some navigation tips between point A and point B to save you a lot of trouble. Once you're in the cabin, you'll walk up to the steering wheel, press E to pilot the boat. You'll want to press spacebar to pull up your anchor, and then just use your navigational keys to direct it where to go. And you see our turbine starting to spin there. Pull out and turn left.
This vessel is more than just machinery. It's your refuge, your home now. Sail forth, Caretaker. Reclaim the waters humanity once commanded. The path is uncertain. Restoring navigational relays will illuminate our way. Beacon 49, eastward, should be your first step.
And that will advance the quest line. Voyage into the unknown. Sail to Navigation Beacon 49, which is east of Sanctuary Dock 37. You'll want to turn left to avoid the string of mines that will be directly in front of you as you leave Sanctuary 37.
You'll need to master basic crafting skills and generate your own resources to survive. Begin by fabricating a Lumilite solar panel. Good job! You've successfully learned to craft and produce resources.
See the string of mines? That is what you'll want to avoid. So turn left once you leave Sanctuary Dock 37. Aim towards that little habitat node. And as soon as you pass the string of mines, turn right. Continue on to Navigation Beacon. Again, I appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out the new updated version of the beginning section of The Last Caretaker. This is Martyr getting ready to sign out. You know, as always, guys, be good or be good at it.